Hey there, it's Sam. I'm here in Maui, on the beautiful beach of Maui, and I'm talking about the upcoming week and the eclipse that is coming next weekend on April 14th and 15th. Instead of looking at me, I'm going to flip this around so you can see the beautiful Maui sunset as I talk. Now, we have quite a transformative eclipse coming up. That would be this upcoming weekend, April 14th and 15th. We're going to have the first lunar eclipse in Libra. First lunar eclipse of 2014. It'll be in Libra, and it's going to be closely conjoined the North Node. So all of that energy that's been in Libra, with Saturn having been in Libra since the beginning of January 2013, or I'm sorry, since Rahu has been in Libra since January 2013, and Saturn has been in Libra since November 2011, off and on, will be sort of coming to a head. There'll be a lot of power, so relationships that, let's say, have started or been kind of working around and clunking around since November of 2011, for instance, they will be very important, or at least a lot of changes that have been happening since then. It'll be a time to really sort of get to a new level of understanding around relationship decisions, let's say, that have been an issue since then, because that's when Saturn went into Libra. So think about what your relationships have been like since November of 2011, or things that have happened, if there have been important things. We're really starting to feel some of that come to a head right now with this eclipse in Libra, this lunar eclipse. And of course, it's the lunar eclipse which has to do with the moon, and it's the mind and the emotions, and it's that feeling of wanting reciprocation, wanting to harmonize. And of course, it's going to be a lunar eclipse, so it's opposite the sun in Aries. That's where the sun is exalted, actually. So we have an exalted sun join the south node, and the moon opposite, mirroring it in Libra. So a lot of relationship energy being worked on at this time, finished or clarified or something like that. And in addition, the presence of the North Node definitely gives that feeling of a sort of new cycle of growth and a new cycle of emotional accountability and emotional growth, because that's really what the moon is about, and especially as it relates to in relationships, insisting on being appreciated, being handled fairly, being handled in a way that's even and beyond excitability and drama, beyond people or situations being polarized in unworkable ways. The thing that makes relationships work well is a sort of evenness and a sort of willingness to not make everything polarized beyond recognition, or to have, 1 minute you're a sinner, the next minute you're a saint, and all of these kind of crazy splits and polarizing attitudes. And so the Libra lesson is the lesson that shows where we keep our head and we stay cool, and we're able to recognize and harmonize and, dare I say, balance the energy of one person with the energy of another, the needs of one person with the needs of another, the willingness to be truthful, even if it's not what the person wants to hear in the moment. Many times the trade-offs that come around the Libra axis have to do with, maybe even not being truthful, so that we can maintain a connection in the moment that we think we want, There's a whole kind of problem that comes in relationships, especially when we get brought into it because we want to fulfill our desires and because we want to be appreciated and we want the other person to appreciate us and we want to appreciate them as well. But a healthy balance between the Libra-Aries polarity is important, which means we need to have a healthy Aries identity and the willingness to be clear and decisive if we're going to actually have a healthy Libra, which is about being able to accommodate. You see, the immature Libra energy is as much expressed when we accommodate too much, especially around things that we're not really amenable to. And in the same token, when we pretend like everything is okay to someone's face, and then let's say behind the back, we're really getting out all of our aggression, for instance. Because we want to maintain the connection and we want the person to like us, let's say, or we want to maintain the relationship with them, we say things, we say, okay, yeah, I can do that, and we're sort of playing the role of accommodating and playing the role of being Venus, playing the role of being amenable, but secretly we're split off in some way and we're kind of not being honest. These things can happen very easily because we want the connection. That's what Venus is, that's what Libra is, and that's the hook. Because we want to keep getting the good stuff, we slide on our principles, we slide on our individual strength and power. We slide on the Aries end of the axis sometimes because we want to get the Libra end of the axis, because we want to get the good stuff from the other person. We may shortchange ourselves and then act like it was the other person, or think it was the other person oppressing us, or not communicate clearly to the other person, maybe omit important things to them, and whatnot. So these are all issues and problems that come around the Libra end of the axis, especially as it relates to relationships, and since we've had Saturn in Libra since the end of 2011, and also we've had Rahu in Libra also since early 2013. So a lot of these issues are really coming up and the consequences are being shown. And also just things like, you know, Saturn in Libra really shows us how much we're, just in general, how much we're able to accommodate others. Whoops, so much trip. How much we're able to accommodate others. How much, you know, just love and joy and beauty from other people we have in our life in general. How much we're kind of addicted to their company and how able we are to be alone and function in solitude. It's another very powerful Saturn lesson. This is why Saturn is exalted in Libra, because we can often have this sort of addiction to the connection in Libra rather than a healthy solitude, which is what Saturn brings. So these are all big issues that are coming up on a personal level. And we're seeing some, and you know, on a social and global scale, since Saturn and Rahu have been in Libra, you know, I've been talking about this quite a lot with a lot of social issues, especially as it relates to women's rights and sexuality and other things like that. We've also seen a lot of these things in the news. Now we're even seeing some international events with, you know, with Russia and the Ukraine and honoring the sovereignty of nations and other things like that. So I'm going to be talking quite a bit about these things as well on a web class this week. You want to register for that. I'm going to be talking about this eclipse and how it's going to influence all 12 of the signs, including your sign. And I'm also going to be talking about what is being referred to as the cardinal cross in Western astrology, but it's actually how the planets are lining up and reaching these very tight squares in the sky. A lot of them are the outer planets, and they do have an impact, especially on world events. I have definitely noticed that outer planets impact world events. I don't put as much importance on them for personal events, they certainly can. I'm not going to get into that so much, but especially as they influence outer results and world events, I think it's very important. And I'm going to be looking at them also within the context of the sidereal zodiac. Be surprised how well these outer planets work in sidereal signs as well. So instead of a cardinal cross, it's like a mutable cross, a dual cross with all this energy changing. So you want to check that out. You want to check out that. It's a free web class. Sign up for that. And the other thing I wanted to leave you with is a great interview that I had when I was in Kauai with the great teachers at the Hindu temple in Kauai. I was very fortunate to have spent a lot of time there and to have gotten to know the Swamijis there, and they were very generous with me and allowed me to discuss certain qualities of their pujas with them. So I'm going to also include that in this video, so I hope you enjoy that as well. So aloha, mahalo. Hey there, it's Sam. I'm here at the Hindu temple in Kauai. Amazing, amazing place. And the beloved Swamijis here have allowed me to film this remarkable space. I'm just going to show you some of it real quick, and then I'm going to speak with them. This is so interesting for me, and I'm so happy to share it with you, because not only is this an amazing temple with very authentic Murtis like the Nandi Murti, who is the Vahana, or the vehicle of Shiva, but also they have authentic sky portrayed in this nakshatra lingam here, basically. Let me get this camera correct here. Oh, I'll show you that later. Wait a minute. Let me get the camera there. So
the login has changed.
Oh, the log, and see, they change it every time that they do a new puja, so that it's astronomically correct, astrologically correct. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. But you see, they have all of these amazing murtis and statues. The amazing Ganesha shrine, and then the altar, which behind the curtain up there is there's an amazing Nataraj statue, who is the incarnation of Lord Shiva, dancing creation. Nataraj, is a quality of life that is a dance, like the dance of life, the dance of birth, creation, destruction, and it's that form of Shiva that you often see as the dancing Shiva. So that's the large Murti that they have here that they do puja to. Also, Lord Kartikeya, who is Lord Shiva's son, also related to Mars, and we just saw the Ganesha Murti, which is related to Jupiter. And so this is the Sadguru, the holder of the lineage, the one who started. And we have the amazing Swamijis here. Yoganatha, right, sorry. We got them both here. Yoganatha and Shivanatha.
Correct.
Right. And so they allowed me to come in here and just talk a little bit about the temple. And the thing that I was very interested in discussing with the Swamijis, that I know that you all will be interested in hearing about, is the daily panchangam that they use for all of the daily worship. How many pujas do you do here per day, and how long have they been happening? I forget the numbers, but it's astounding. What is it?
Every 3 hours we have a puja. Been going on around the clock since 1973, March.
Wow.
March 12th.
Every day since 1973? How many times a day? That's
8 times a day.
8 times a day. And every time, and each time you say the panchangam every day, or each
muhurta.
Each muhurta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, muhurta meaning the moment of the puja. So.
And puja is we've studied a lot of that.
in my certification course, and you hear me talk a lot about the muhurta and the auspicious times. This is because when we evoke these amazing energies, we want to let the deities know exactly where we are and exactly at what time and exactly the location. Can you talk a little bit about Shivanath or Yoganath about this technology, about these pujas? I mean, how would you best explain that to the folks that want to hear, the whole sort of science behind this?
Yes, this puja format that we do now has been done the same way for at least 1,000 years, and we follow it's called a padati, which is a manual written in the 11th century, which basically codified how the puja was to be done for the people at that time, but it's been done the same way ever since. But who knows how long it was done the same way before that.
Okay.
And as tradition in India, it's normally just passed on orally from father to son down through time. So the puja, very complex, and it's a lot of Sanskrit mantras, and it's a lot of visualizations.
And also a lot of mudras. I saw you go through a lot of the mudras.
A lot of mudras, yes.
Mudras are hand gestures, yeah.
Everyone is familiar with Namaste.
With that one, right.
Namaskar. But along with these mudras, there are things going on in the mind of the pujari as well. And most of it is creating things in the astral plane as you're saying mantras. So gestures with the hands and the sound of the mantras and the power that they invoke in the chakras, all of the 21 worlds,
right,
goes on and on. There are three main worlds: the physical world that we live in, the astral plane, which is a plane where we end up when we leave this body, and then the higher causal plane, where beings exist who no longer need to incarnate on the earth. And in the astral plane, there are many levels.
We're occupying our physical space, and we're also obviously quite attached with our physical space. So we're trying to bring a more subtle energetic vibration from these more energetic worlds, and we're trying to bring them into this physical reality. And so this is one of the main reasons why we evoke something like the Panchangam, because when you do it, what's always fascinating to me when I hear pujas done is you start with the yuga, then you sort of go to like the state, and then the city. It's like literally focus all the way down. Talk about the increments of specific time that you use before you. It's not just like we're saying, okay, here we are, here on Earth somewhere. When we do this, it's very specific. It takes this very subtle, abstract, and beautiful high vibration, like Swamiji just said, but it brings it into an incredibly specific moment where we're talking about a specific place in time, right, and a specific astronomical, astrological, energetic that we honor.
The reason is that the Mahadeva, we call it, like Ganesha and Durga, Kartikeya, are known as Mahadevas because they no longer have to incarnate on the earth. They live in such a deep space, it's a place where there is no time. And it is said that they don't travel from place to place, but more they travel from past to future. Or they travel through time. So when we're asking them to come out into our gross physical world of time, astral time, you have to be very specific to where you want them to end up. Okay.
But then from there we come. But then from there, like when I hear you do the puja, you start talking about United States, and then Hawaii,
Right,
and
so
then
we're- year we are in the 60-year cycle of Jupiter. Each year has a name.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year called Vijaya,
Okay.
great victory.
I didn't understand. Yeah, that was one part of the John. That was one part of it that I wasn't sure why you were saying Vijaya. At first I thought it was maybe one of the titis. I'm like, is this a Jaya titi? Wait a minute. No,
Vijaya Nama Samvatsare. It's a Samvatsara. It's called the year of Jupiter. And there's 60. It goes through a cycle of 60 and repeats. So we're in the one called Vijaya. And actually, depending on where you are in India, in Karnataka state, it just moved from Vijaya to Jaya. We're on the last new moon, just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And Chakrapani uses that year as New Year's.
Oh, okay.
If you're in South India, then April 13th, when the sun enters Mesha,
That sidereal.
sidereal year.
Sankranti.
And then that's
Right.
normally when we change over, and we'll change from Vijaya to Jaya Nama Samvatsare.
Okay.
So we're right on this transition.
Got it.
A new year, and that means in the 59th year, coming to the end of that 60-year cycle, is when Saturn and Jupiter come back
Right.
to the same place.
Right, exactly. And then we get into
Then what's next?
nakshatra?
Ma-
Paksha, that's right, Paksha.
Which half of the moon? Is it Shukla Paksha? Is the moon waxing, or is it Krishna Paksha? Is it waning? So we just moved from new moon, so it's Shukla.
So now it's Shukla Paksha because we just had the new moon.
And what is the Titi, the moon day?
Right.
Today is the fourth moon day after the
Chaturthi.
new moon, Chaturthi. Special day for Ganesha,
Right.
Shukla Chaturthi.
That's why Ganesha was very ornamented today.
Yes.
Chaturthi.
We did special puja at 3 a.m.
Oh, okay. And then after Titi,
We have the
Nakshatra.
Nakshatra.
So Titi
Today.
comes before Nakshatra.
In the chant, it
In the
does
chant.
not. In the chant, for some reason, it comes after the Nakshatra.
The day of the week first.
Yeah, I was wondering about Vara. I would think Vara comes.
Have to be doing it to.
Indamase Shukla Pakshe, Indu Vasara Yuktayam, the nakshatra.
The Nakshatra after Uttarana, after Ayana.
Ayana, you say the Mase, the Pakshe, the Vara,
Avara,
the nakshatra,
Nakshatra,
Tidi,
Titi,
Yoga,
Yoga,
Karana. No,
Karana.
Yoga, Karana, and Tidi. Tidi is the
And
last one.
Titi's the last.
Last one.
So you say,
We're in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and you say that,
Pacific Ocean?
and you visualize. It's like you're coming down from outer space. You see the whole Earth. This is
Google
real.
Earth, zooming down.
Yeah, like
And you
it's
say
like
the sparkling blue waters of the Pacific.
Yeah.
We're in the Hawaiian chain, and we're on the specific island of Kauai,
I hear that.
and we're near at the base of Waiali Ali, Himavatparvata, the mountain,
Right.
Waiali Ali, and the Wailua Ganga, the river that we're next to, comes down. It's
Oh, I hear
called
you saying Ganga.
Wailua Ganga.
Wailua Ganga.
And the specific area next to it is called Pihanakalani. This property here is known
Right.
as Pihanakalani, where heaven meets the earth in Hawaiian.
Right. And then you get into talking about the
Then you get in talking about the earth time, which we just went through.
right.